Math learners, help and quick! Use the quadratic formula and solve for the zeros of 3x squared plus 2x minus 7 to get the treasure before it is dropped. Zeros are the x-intercepts or the x values where y is equal to 0. My name is Nikita and I am back to help with a video about the quadratic formula. Visit the Writing Center at Gavilan for help in in-person tutoring, and you could also reserve online tutoring if you want to. The Writing Center at Gavilan also has online resources where tutors such as myself can record content to help you learn. Now, hello mathletes. Have you ever wondered why we need to use quadratic formula? Well, spoiler alert, it's actually more useful than many people think, and today I'm going to be breaking it down. So, what is the quadratic formula? Well, to find out what the quadratic formula is, we need to find out what it isn't. No, I'm just kidding. But we do need to find out what a quadratic equation is. And that is any equation in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. And when you need to solve this equation to find where it hits 0, or what values of x make the equation true, you either factor, or when that's not possible, you use this beautiful masterpiece. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, it might look intense, but basically, it's like a magic key that opens up a treasure chest of answers. Now, let's begin with a simple problem. We have 2x squared minus 4x minus 6. All we have to do is identify what each of the variables are. So our a would be 2, our b would be negative 4, and our c would be negative 6. And now we just plug it in. Simple plug and switch. So x is equal to negative b, so 4, plus or minus the square root of b squared, 16, minus 4 times a times c, which would be 48, and the 48, the negative would cancel out the minus sign to become a plus sign, all over 2a, which is 4. So, if we further simplify this, we have 4 plus or minus 64 over 4, or 4 plus or minus 8 over 4. Now, you might be wondering, what's this thing? What is this weird looking sign? Now, that is the plus or minus sign, and all that basically means is that 4, or x, is equal to 4 plus 8 divided by 4, and it's equal to 4 minus 8 over 4. Now, if we simplify this, x is equal to 12 over 4, so 3, and x is also equal to negative 4 over 4, so negative 1. So, in this equation, 2x squared minus 4x minus 6, x would have to be equal to 3 or negative 1 for this equation to be equal to 0. Boom. These are the solutions, and these are the points where your parabola touches the x-axis. Now, let's move on to a second example. Let's say we have negative x squared plus 4x plus 1 equals 0. Now, before we do this, let me tell you about a little trick you can use with the quadratic formula. So the b squared minus 4ac, that is the discriminant. And discriminant is also written as the big D. So if the discriminant is greater than 0, you know there's two real solutions. If the big D is equal to 0, there's one real solution. And if the discriminant is less than 0, there are no real solutions. So, by finding this out, you can quickly understand whether your equation has 2, 1, or no real solutions. And this will let you know how many x values there are where the y will be equal to 0. So we could practice this. So in this case, we have negative x squared plus 4x plus 1. Our a would be equal to negative 1, the b to 4, and the c to 1. B squared minus 4ac would be 16 plus 4. Since 16 plus 4 is greater than 0, we know we have two real solutions in this equation. Now let's get to solving. We have x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared, 16, minus 4ac, or the negative cancels out, so it's plus 4, over 2 times negative 1, so negative 2. And this turns it to negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 20 over negative 2. Now, I'm not going to simplify this, but the reason I brought this equation up is because if you graph it, you're going to be given something like this. And although you might not see it now, what this looks like to me is the arc of a basketball shot. And why this is so cool is that what this means is if you throw your basketball at a certain angle that could be represented by an equation such as this one, you can figure out at what point in time will the basketball reach the ground. And this isn't only applicable with basketballs. It's also applicable in business, in optimization, or in architecture. Let's say we have an archway. The quadratic formula is used here. Now, personally, I would love an archway into a garden and have some plants here, but let's move on. So, I wanted to give you a more faster way of memorizing quadratic formula, because you might think, okay, well, how am I going to memorize this big, beautiful, awesome equation, right? Well, lucky for you, I'm a bit of a music producer. Back in the day, I was. So this is how I memorized it. Let's say you have this beat. Negative b plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So, as long as you have that beat running through your heart, the quadratic formula will never leave your heart or your head, and you'll memorize it. Just remember, negative b plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now, moving on, I wanted to touch up on factoring because I feel like you guys could do it a quicker way. So let's say we have x squared plus 7x plus 12. Usually, you'd think, okay, what multiplies into 12? 3 and 4, and that adds into 7. So you'd rewrite it into x squared plus 3x plus 4x plus 12. And then you'd separate it. What if I said no? What you could actually do, truthfully, is just write out the factors as soon as you know what numbers multiply to 12 but add to 7. So another example of this, let's say we have x squared plus 9x plus 14. We see that 14 is made up of 7 times 2, and 7 plus 2 could be equal to 9. We know that our factors are x plus 2 and x plus 7. And if we multiply this out, we get x squared plus 2x plus 7x plus 14. What? Where have I seen this equation before? All right, there you are. I thought it was looking familiar. So, now that you guys know how to factor, and know how to use quadratic formula, do you think you're up to the task of saving the treasure chest by solving for the zeros of 3x squared plus 2x minus 7? Let's do this together. 3x squared minus 2x minus 7. We do it quickly. A is equal to 3. B is equal to negative 2. C is equal to negative 7. We think negative b plus minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So we have negative b plus minus square root b squared minus 4 times a, 12, times c, 84 over 6. 2 plus minus square root 88 over 6, and voila. Without simplifying it, we are given 2 plus square root 88 over 6 and 2 minus square root 88 over 6. So now, next time your friends or someone in your life tells you that you don't have a real use of quadratic formula in the real world, just show them this video and show them the treasure chest that you just saved.